Wine is a big deal in Santorini, much more than in other parts of Greece. But why is that? Do you know? Well, it's because Santorini is a volcano, meaning the soil is a mix of volcanic ash and pumice, and everything growing on this very unique soil will taste much stronger than what you're used to. That's why our cherry tomatoes, for instance, are so delicious. Anything coming out of this volcanic soil tastes amazing. Now, what wines should you be tasting? Well, there are two very important ones. Assyrtiko, which is a dry white, and Vinsanto, which is a sweet white. And don't let the color of Vinsanto fool you. Yes, it is a white wine. This dark amber color comes from the dehydration that happened when drying the grapes out in the sun for 2 weeks. That's what makes the wine so concentrated, both in sugar and in taste. Now, what about the reds? Well, the two main grape varieties for red are Mandilaria and Mavrotragano. But let me tell you right away, Santorini's reds aren't that great. I've taken quite a few on wine tours back when I was in Santorini, and I'd say that at least 90% of the time, you guys preferred the whites over the reds. So let's move on to the wineries now. There are 13 wineries on the island. You can take a screenshot if you want, because you can't find this information that easily online. I won't be talking about every single one of them, only the ones that have something special that I want you to know of. For the best wines overall, in my opinion, it's Boutari. They were the first ones in Santorini to start producing quality wine. Before them, wines used to be around 17–18% in alcohol, and the Boutari family is the one that said, okay, let's stop this nonsense. If we want the international community to appreciate Santorini's wines, we need to dramatically lower the alcohol content. And so they started harvesting much earlier, early August instead of September. And guess what? Nowadays, everyone harvests in August. So yeah, the Boutari family have been the trendsetters for a few decades now, and as a consequence, their wines are now the most well-balanced and refined. Their Assyrtiko and their Vinsanto especially, so the dry white and the sweet white, are by far my favorite ones on the island. Now, Boutari's tasting room isn't anything special. What if you want to visit a winery that looks old and with more character? Well, there are two, Gavalas and Hatzidakis. Gavalas is located in the old center of Megalochori village. It's a very tiny place, but just look how cute this is. If you go there, make sure you taste their Vuzomato, which is a very rare grape variety in Santorini. Only 2 wineries have it. Gavalas is one of the 2. It's a very fresh red wine with notes of pomegranate, great to drink when it's hot outside. Hatzidakis winery is located here, a bit outside of Megalochori, and their winery looks so unique. The whole thing is a massive cave that was dug inside the cliff. This is, I believe, the largest cave of all of Santorini. It's very impressive stuff. And at Hatzidakis, they also take you around for a little tour for free, included in the price of the wine tasting, which I find very nice. And by the way, I haven't mentioned anything about prices yet. Don't worry, I'll get to that later in the video. Alright, what if you want the Caldera View? Well, in that case, it's Santo Wines or Venetsanos. And let me tell you right away, those are the 2 most touristy wineries on the island. So don't expect great service, and don't expect the staff to be able to answer more complex questions about their wines. Oh, and if you go there, you need to book a table on their website at least 1 week ahead. And if you want to go at sunset time, book even earlier than that, because that's when everyone is going. And this is valid for all other wineries too, by the way. Never just show up there without any reservation. They will probably be fully booked. Oh, and one more thing about Venetsanos, it's not protected from the wind. So on windy days, they usually close the outdoor terrace because everything is flying away. You can still have your tasting indoors, but yeah, then you don't have the view. Alright, next I want to tell you about the Wine Museum, or Koutsoyanopoulos Winery, in case you want to try and pronounce that. This one is both a winery and a museum. The museum is located in these underground alleys dug centuries ago that locals were using as shelter during various invasions. So it's definitely a very unique place, and you get to learn a lot about Santorini's very unique wine culture. And you also receive an audio guide which explains what you're looking at. So if you're someone who loves old tools and machines, this place is a must-do. The museum is included in the price of the wine tasting, so you don't need to pay anything extra for the museum. Now, after the museum, you will also go for a wine tasting there, and that's where things get a bit underwhelming. The wines are okay, but the service is pretty poor. You hardly receive any information about the wines you're drinking. So yeah, great place to learn about wine culture, not a great place to actually taste the wine. So if you go there for the museum, try to also go to another winery for a proper wine tasting later on. Alright, now I want to talk to you about Anhydrous in Fira. Anhydrous is the only winery within walking distance of Fira, and that's a pretty big deal because all the other wineries are always outside of actual towns, so you can't just walk to them. Anhydrous, on the other hand, is only a 10-minute walk from the main square of Fira. Very convenient. And another great thing about Anhydrous is that they own another winery on Evia Island, where they produce amazing red wines. And you can include those wines in your wine tasting in Santorini. That way you get to have the best of both worlds, the white wines of Santorini, the red wines of Evia. Oh, and for all of you staying in Ia and not renting a car, I'm sorry to tell you that there are no wineries in Ia. Your best option is to go to a wine bar called Vineyart, which has nearly all Santorini wines that exist. It's pretty impressive. They have great service and their staff is very knowledgeable about the wines, but yeah, it's a wine bar, it's not a winery. You cannot like visit the cellar or walk through their vineyard. Alright, so how much does all of this cost? Well, it usually starts at 20-25 euros per person for 4 wines, and then it can go up to 30-40 if you choose a package with either more wines or with more prestigious bottles. Now, there's another way of doing all of this. Instead of reserving a table at a winery and showing up, you can also book a wine tour. Now, what's a wine tour in Santorini? Well, it's a half-day activity where you're gonna have a wine guide taking you around the island by car, visiting usually 3 different wineries. And if you are into wines, this option is definitely more suited for you because you will learn much more, not only about the wines you're drinking, but also about Santorini's wine culture in general. And there's a lot to be said, since growing vines on an active volcano obviously comes with many hazards and unique techniques. I'm gonna link you down below the wine tour I recommend. If you believe this option suits you and you want to support my channel at the same time, you can go ahead and use that link. Now, a quick side note about restaurants. If you want to drink Santorini wine, do not ever order the restaurant's house wines. These are never local wines. They're usually Greek wines from the mainland, much lower in quality than Santorini wines. Instead, order a bottle of Santorini wine. All restaurants will have at least a few on their menu. Sometimes you will be able to order just a glass, but more often than not, you have to take the whole bottle. And don't worry, if you don't finish it, you can always take it back to your hotel. That's what I do. Okay, so many people are contacting me on Instagram, this is my Instagram by the way, to ask me which boat tour they should book in Santorini. Should they go on a catamaran cruise or on a volcano tour? Because these are 2 very different tours and have very different prices also. Well, I'm answering that question in this video. And over here, a video on 10 things you need to know before coming to Santorini. Very useful information, trust me. And there you go. That's it for today. Hope you liked it. See you in the next one. Bye.